Welcome everybody. 皆さんようこそ。もう一度美術を作っています。We're doing more of our Posthomerica illustrations here, and we're gonna see if we can add a border to this picture. So, if we want to do that, number one, we would group these 4 layers. You would just make them smaller, I guess. Although, actually, we're not going to do that yet. First, we're going to make a group, and in that group, we're going to put a layer, and we're going to draw the borders out before we do that. So, we're still going to draw the borders with black, like with the outlines, before anything else. So let's get rid of this for now. And そしてちょっと普通のデザイン作り、多分これいいです。そしてもう一つを作る。その後でこれコピーしましょう。We're going to fill this. We're going to extend it to the left and right. Then we're gonna move it so that we want it to line up with that. And now, every one of these that we create, we can align it to that spot. Assuming that it even matches together. Okay. All right, we're gonna merge this. We're gonna sort of straighten this out. All right, that's good. Now we keep going. Instead of warping this though, I think we should instead try to I think we should try to maybe we should warp it. Now why does that one look blurry compared to that? That I'm not sure about. Is it because of the duplication? I don't know. Yeah, that's a nice subtle border. Okay. And we're pretty close to where we want to be now. All right. Now we do what? duplicate it on that side. That matches up. Oh no, it doesn't. Good. Now we're gonna move this. We can get rid of this guide thing. We'll put that there. Maybe we want another line here. Cloud Mighty, ようこそ、ヤッホー。美術を作っています。ギリシャ、物語の、からの美術。クラウドは、美術家ですか？アーティストですか？次はバックグラウンドフィルします。そしてそれいいです。それが好き。でもやっぱりこれが必要。Just another line going through. 英語でもいいですか？イギリスから来た。あ、そうですか。でもいつも日本語練習が楽しい僕に。Good to know though. Do you speak Japanese with a whatever you'd call that British accent? はじめまして I don't even know what that would sound like. Cloud Mighty saying, thankfully not that bad anymore. It used to be terrible. Yeah, it's the only time I've ever recognized another accent or like a coming from another culture accent in Japanese was when I was in Japan during, not because I wanted or made it that way, but there happened to be some kind of rugby tournament happening when I was there most recently, and all these Australians were over there, and they would walk into like these tiny little izakayas and they would just yell, like bust open the sliding door or push away the curtains and say konnichiwa, and I was like, wow, that's a Australian accented Japanese. Never thought I'd see the day. This is getting really thin up in this part. It must have been because of the way that I warped it. Yeah, because over here, this part can be really thick. So now instead of actually coloring that whole thing that we just did, we can just go like this and then erase any parts where it goes outside the lines. It'll be a lot easier for us. Cloud さんは、イギリス人ですか？そして日本語を、勉強したんですか？それとも、日本人？Oops. Let's see, I was browsing channels and noticed it was Western, but it was English and Japanese. Yeah, I try to do all my shows in both now, just because I figure it's good practice to speak whenever I get the opportunity, you know? And it's been really cool getting to meet other people who are either native Japanese speakers or learning Japanese or whatever, who would come in. It's really nice, and it's nice to meet you as well. So So we have this part. Now we want to go, I think we'll do a different border for the sides. Although this is pretty unobtrusive. I think we should do that though, because, so let's get rid of some of these pieces here. And we're gonna, so that's that. Now let's see it with the proper background. So it's gonna have this, and, oops. Yeah, that looks great. So now we're gonna have a bottom part and a side part. And let's finally fix this, where this one's just gonna be black, and then we'll turn this off in order to get like a partial version, instead of always having to change the opacity. So now we're gonna go through here. Cloud Singer, are you doing this for somebody? This is I'm publishing my own edition of a ancient Greek story called Posthomerica, which is it's like another one of those like epic poems, kind of like it's essentially a sequel to the Iliad, which was written a couple of hundred years after the Iliad by this guy named Quintus. So it's still ancient. It's from like 400 AD or 400 BC. And I'm publishing my own edition of the book with illustrations, and I'm also making an audiobook of it. So we've been streaming the process of recording and editing the audiobook, and also of making the illustrations. It's been a lot of fun. Oh no, we gotta turn on the bones again. Now why is that showing up as like really wispy looking? There we go. Oh, you noticed I narrate? Oh, thank you. いい声ですか？ありがとうございます。でも、ない。I try. Right now I'm like a little bit recovering from being a little sick, so I'm out of the narrator's chair for a bit, but I'm sort of on the comeback. I'm trying to go back to it, but it's a good opportunity to just focus more on the illustrations and stuff. Yeah, audiobook stuff I got into a little while ago, like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And it's been a great time because I always do Twitch streams and I would even create like characters and stuff on my streams a lot with different voices and stuff. And then I was like, why don't I just do an audiobook? And then here we are after having done multiple audiobooks. Oh, so this would be... Oh, okay, yeah, this is an easier texture. This will be good. Yeah. So we want to do it like this. Yeah, this is going to be good. Yep, like that. I wish we could get the lines to be more solid, though. It's something about the way I'm holding the pencil. I think it's, like, too tilted or something, that the lines are coming out, like, more wispy looking. Yeah, and then there's some other aspect of this that I'm not seeing, but I don't think it really is a problem. Problem is, I get asked to narrate all the time. Oh, cool. Yeah, you should do an audiobook then, if you're interested in doing it. I don't know if, if maybe people are asking you and you're like, oh, I don't actually want to do that. But I do it through, if you know Audible, the audiobook platform, they have like a whole thing where you can, if you know how to produce audio, which I just happen to have a background in, TV and film production and stuff, so it's not too far away for me, but I'm not sure if that's like something you're interested in. But if you know how to produce audio, they have a whole platform where you can become a narrator and find authors to get linked with and stuff. You know what, let's, instead of doing this, let's have this side come from the top. So it'll be like two different designs, maybe. Let's see. Do we like that? Maybe we'll just do this, but we'll take out both aspects of this and we'll just have this be like that. Yeah, I think that's better. Cloud saying, but I can't draw, so you're a +1 on me. I didn't know it was a competition, but I'm sure that in your heart there is much art to be made. Yeah, it's funny because I have a background in art, but I never knew how to do digital art or like use a tablet. And this past year has been like a learning experience for me, where I was essentially going from like zero to here of like just not understanding at all how like drawing tablets work. And it's been a lot of fun to try and learn the process, because it's definitely different than doing it on paper, There's all these different aspects and commands and stuff. Let's grab these and sort of fix them. Like this, for example, you could not do on a piece of paper. It would just like, well, this thing's a little too small, so I want to make it bigger. Awesome. Cloud saying, I mess around with Audacity and a decent mic, but maybe someday. Do I write my own stories? I don't write the stuff that I narrate on Audible. I work with other authors for that, but I do write a podcast that I narrate every week. So I write something, but not like fiction. see here. This is a cool design. Let's get a square thing here. Cloud saying, it looks great, dude, from my limited perspective. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're limiting the thing here. We have a few of them, though, if you want to see some of the other ones. There's 14 chapters in this story. So, like, each one, I'm trying to get some aspect of, like, what's happening. So this one is, if you're familiar with the hero Achilles, in the Trojan War, he dies at some point. This is the chapter where Achilles dies, so his spot at the dice game is gone, and Ajax is just sitting there crying. And this is a Trojan warrior lady, Penthesilea, comes in to fight Achilles, and each one I'm trying to do like a different style of Greek art, inspired by the different vases that I've seen and stuff. So this one's all the deeds of Hercules, around like the edges of a shield and stuff. It's been a good time coming up with some of these. This one is Ajax going when he goes insane, and he mistakes. He thinks he's killing one of his friends, but instead he's killing a sheep. Memnon, the Ethiopian warrior, comes to help the Trojans. Yeah, and some of these are just like little. Sometimes I would draw little single characters and then import them into the thing. So that's why you're seeing some of those ones that are just like one guy. But yeah, it's been cool to like try and research. I've been doing a lot of research of like reading books on Greek pottery, and I went to the Getty Villa and took a lot of pictures, which is a museum in LA where they have a lot of great ancient Greek art. And so I've been pulling from my references of photos and things that I found on the internet and books that I'm reading, and trying to just incorporate my own designs while also all of these pictures actually, there will be some element in each one that's like from a piece of Greek pottery, and then I try to like come up with my own stuff around that. So let's see if we can get that. Glad saying you've been working hard. Incredible work, really. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's like it's a passion project, I guess you'd call it, because it's not like, it's just for my own sake. And like the audiobook, really the reason I'm making it is just because nobody's done an audiobook of it, and I really wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear it spoken, and so then I was like, well, I guess I'll just make it. And then this whole thing is kind of spawned out of that. So yeah, definitely like a passion project, and it's been a lot of fun to do. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like if you're familiar with some of the like Homer and those ancient Greek stories, there's plenty of audiobooks of the Iliad, which is the story of the Trojan War. There's plenty of audiobooks of the Odyssey, which is the story of Odysseus coming back from the Trojan War. Those are the two classic Homeric texts. And then there's plenty of audiobooks of the Aeneid, which is the story of Aeneas, who is a Trojan that escaped the Trojan War and then founded Rome. And then, some of the other Greek stories have audiobooks as well. But like those are 3 stories spawning from the Trojan War that have plenty of recognition and audiobook renditions and stuff, great actors performing them. And then this story, there's no audiobook for sale. There's like a free version on LibriVox that somebody did, and but there's not like, nobody did like a official version of it. So I was like, I wanted to hear somebody do it, so I was like, I'm gonna do it. All right, so let's paste this in here. When it pastes, it always puts it in like the center of the page. It's really annoying. Oh no, this time it did it correctly. Cloud saying, I'm vaguely familiar, but I'd definitely be more interested if it was in audible form as opposed to written. Not to take away from the written work, but this is more palatable, I would say. You know, I agree, and I think that a lot of these stories, you know, because obviously I'm also like copy editing all the text in the written edition and stuff and going through, and of course I've read it, but I agree that I think these stories are best experienced verbally, and that's how they were actually originally done. You know, now we think of it as like reading the Odyssey, but back then, you know, a lot of times they weren't even written down. So like before Homer wrote it down, people were just saying them out loud and telling each other the stories at like, you know, feasts and stuff. So I think that's even, you know, kind of like true to the original form, is to prefer it in audio form because that's how they experienced it. So yeah, definitely like performance is a big part of all these ancient stories, I think. So we're doing this with the extra black here so that nothing peeks through. Although since the background is black, it's not as important, but it's still good to do. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna see if this can duplicate. So let's get rid of that, paste this, and here we go. We're gonna make a little guide layer. I should have kept that layer I made for this other thing, but I didn't. So this will allow us to align all of the layers to each other so that they don't get kind of crooked. Speaking of crooked, we're gonna sort of just squeeze this in to match. This is another aspect that it's like I'm so thankful for digital art, because you can't, if I was doing this on the page, I would have to do this design all the way across. But now I can just, I can just duplicate it across. I can create the tiling texture and then duplicate that all the way across the page. Definitely preferable to having to do the whole, you know, the whole thing. It would just be monotonous. Okay, good. We're getting there. So Cloud Mighty, what is your speciality then? What kind of stuff are you into besides language studying? Are you a video games person? That's usually what I do on this channel. Doing art live is kind of new for me, but mostly I play like single player games and stuff. But yeah, since I was a kid, I always did a lot of art, and I never had a lot of opportunity for it. And now I've kind of been finding a great excuse to do it, where it's like, well, I'll just do it on my streams. So this we can get rid of. Let's actually not destroy it. We're gonna hide it. And then we're going to fill in this layer on the bottom. Yep, I think that looks great on the bottom there. Good stuff. Okay. The only question is the square pattern gonna interfere with the triangular stuff? No, I think it works fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. Alright, we gotta head out of here now. Thanks for joining, ladies and gents. Cloud, it was great to meet you. Hope to see you again soon. And that is gonna do it for this episode of doing the illustrations. We're very close to chapter 9 being done. Let's see what chapter 10 is before we head out, because I'm kind of curious now. I don't remember what chapter 10 is supposed to be. And once we are done with this bottom part, we just have the sides to do, which is very kind of simple of a process. Chapter 10, How Paris was stricken to death and in vain sought the help of Oenone. Oenone. So this is an interesting chapter. It's where Paris gets actually shot with a poisoned arrow, and then his wife, his former wife before Helen, refuses to help him and lets him die. And then his former wife feels bad about that and jumps on the pyre where Paris is being burned. So there's plenty of fodder for stuff to draw. We'll have to come up with a concept for that one. It should be a fun one, though. And ladies and gents, that's going to do it. So thanks for joining the show. If you like what you saw, don't forget to hit the follow button. If you want to see more info about the project that we're doing these illustrations for, it's !Troy in the chat. And I will see you guys next time.